guys, it's Jessica from Peace Love Books, and same here with my February wrap up for the second half of February. There were only 14 days in this second half and I've read 13 books. This is probably one of my shortest wrap ups that I've done for my mid-month wrap up. I think I read like 16 or 17 last half of the month, but I was traveling at the end of this month and I have not read anything really in the past 2 days. So my reading really slowed down, though while I was traveling, I went to LA, then I went to Nashville. I was reading like a book a day because I had so many delays on my flights. Like the way there, I got a 5-hour delay. On the way back, I got an 8-hour delay, and then I had to drive 6 hours to Nashville and 6 hours home for Saturday and Sunday. I read a book Thursday, a book Friday, an audiobook Saturday, and an audiobook Sunday. So I still did a good amount of reading this month, even though things were a bit hectic and stressful. So I did a couple of reading vlogs. I did a collab with Tori from Novel Life of reading Touch or You Die recommendations from booktubers, so that was super fun to do and I loved seeing Tori's video, so make sure you go watch Tori's video and I'll link mine down below as well. And I will just go ahead and get to the 13 books I read in the second half of February. The first few are actually for that reading vlog, so I read to Beguile Beast by Elizabeth Hoyt. This is the one that Sam from Sam Reads a Little recommended, and I do have the step back version. This is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. I ended up really enjoying this. I think I gave it 4.5 stars. Our heroine, she's running away from someone in her life who is not good to her, and he is the father of her children, and so she runs away with her 2 children to Scotland. She gets a job as a maid for him and he is scarred. I'm pretty sure he's actually missing an eye as well, and he's just really scarred, and he doesn't like people. He doesn't like people staring at him. People are always scared of him, but he realizes that she must have had someone like close to him say go stay there, so he lets her, and so she is his new maid. His children are adorable. There's like a puppy in here that was really fun, though it is really sad there is an animal death in here, so make sure you know that going in. I myself am sensitive to animals dying in books, and so there is an animal that dies of old age, so just know that. But I really enjoyed his dynamic with the kids, and of course you knew something was going to happen at the end where that person she's running away from probably is gonna have to address them, confront them, and so our hero gets very, very protective. He's definitely Touch or You Die. That's what this book was for, that vlog, and so I enjoyed it. There's just a little bit of slow parts in the middle, but this one was such a good historical romance, and if you like the Beauty and the Beast trope, read this one. Then I read Ruthless Creatures by J.T. Gessinger. I've already got the second book on audio. Audible is having an amazing sale, and I believe this video is going to go up before that sale's over. If you are a member of Audible, I started their free trial, so if you want a free trial, try it out because their audiobooks are like $4. This one, I believe the second book was $6, but I think this first one might be on sale. I used my credit on this because you get a credit every month, and I loved the audiobook. 5 stars for this book. And also, before I forget, all those Audible books are like so many good ones that I'm super excited to read. So much indie romance. Like Gianna Darling's on sale, and I know I got a couple of other mafia romances, so check out that sale. But I love this book so much. It is a mafia romance. Our heroine is still recovering from the loss of her fiance. He disappeared the day before their wedding and presumed dead. I think he went like on a hike or something, and so she just hasn't moved on, and it's been like I think 4 years, and then a new neighbor moves in, and he is very like dark and brooding and mysterious, and she knows he's like not good for her, but they grow closer and fall for each other, and then she like realizes she's falling for someone who has a really dangerous life, but she's kind of okay with that, and I just really, really love this one. It was so good, and I love like the culmination of stuff at the end and how like the police keep on coming by and they're like, you know that he's a bad guy, and she's trying to like protect him, and I just really enjoyed this book, and I heard it only gets better, and so I can see like this one, nothing was like blowing my mind, but I just was like so obsessed with the romance, and there's a guy who won't leave her alone, and so the hero is just like leave her alone, and so he's definitely Touch or You Die. That was for that vlog as well, so really love this one, and I'm super excited to continue on if people say book 2 is even better than book 1. Then I read Little Fire. This one is by Holly Manns. I read this for the Ravished by Romance book club I run with Lacey, and this one was surprisingly really good. I gave it 4 stars, and it starts out with our heroine. It's a fantasy world, so our hero, I think he's an archmage, and so he's like one of the most powerful people with magic. Our heroine is from this town. She was adopted. She was like found, and she doesn't know who she is, and so her town is attacked, and she is being attacked and being taken through this portal, and our hero is there to like protect the people, sees her and is like instantly captivated, needs to save her, and so he and her get thrown into this portal together, and they are thrown into this like barren land where there's people that are not helping them, but are like letting them leave, and so they have to like wait until his people can find him because they can like go through different realms and stuff, and so they are kind of stuck. It's like forced proximity. They're stuck together and have to survive together, and she literally like will put her life on the line to rescue him, and he's immortal and she's mortal, and he's like, this girl is nuts, but he starts getting really attracted to her and close to her, and he falls first, which I absolutely love in a romance. Like, I love the romance between them so much, and they of course end up returning back to his place, and they like deal with all of that, and that's really all I can say. Like, it's really hard to give synopses of fantasy romances without giving away too much, but that's pretty much the general synopsis of that one. Forced proximity, I really did like the fantasy world aspect of this. I loved him as a character and how obsessed he became with her. Like, I loved how much he fell for her, and so 4 to 5 stars. The beginning was a little slow, and I know some people have DNF'd this or didn't really love the whole magic system, but I really enjoyed this, and I'm really excited to read more in the series because I believe book 2 is about them, and then I think book 3 is about a side character, I think. But I really enjoyed it. Oh yeah, one of the books is about like the guy who helps them like make portals and stuff, and I really liked his character. So this one, definitely check it out. Then I read The Seduction of Viscount Vice by Nicola Davidson. This is book 3 in this series, and this one is the Scots story, finally. This one is a second chance romance. I gave it 4.5 stars. So our heroine actually wants to open up her own pleasure club, and the series revolves around these 3 men who have their own pleasure club, and he's called Vice, and like they all, like there's Devil and Sin and Vice. So Devil and Sin have already had their romances. He sees her as dressed as a man in his club. She snuck in because she's trying to spy on it, because she's trying to open her own club, because she wants to perform in the club. And they actually had a romance in the past, and she left him, and so he is really angry about that, and so he recognizes her, and immediately like their sparks fly, but he's kind of mad at her because she left him, and she had her reasons though, and like everything comes unraveling about what had happened, and this was a really good second chance romance. I personally love second chance romances, and I love how she was trying to open her own pleasure club, is kind of like competing with him. There were a lot of unresolved emotions that were occurring in this book, and I really loved watching them find their way back to each other again, and there was just a lot in here for a novella. This whole series is amazing if you want short, very steamy, fun historical romances. Like, I'm super excited to read more Nicola Davidson. Then I read Under One Roof by Ellie Hazelwood. Now I'm getting into the books I haven't written reviews on Goodreads for yet, so I'm like still conflicted over when I want to rate this. This is her novella she came out with. I listened to the audiobook. I think they're only on audio. My library had it though. She's writing 3 novellas before her new book comes out, and this one is a enemies to lovers roommate romance, and so it kind of reminds me of the Twice Shy, I think, by Sarah Hoggle. So the premise is that she inherits this house from like a coworker that passed away, and she also has to share it though with that coworker's like nephew or something. I don't remember how they're related, but some relative of hers, and they both inherited the house together, so they both own half of it. She shows up and he's like instantly like really captivated by her, but then learns who she is, and he like shuts down, and he's like, I'll pay you an extreme amount of money to get this house, and she's like, no, I'm relying on this house. She's relying on that house like for her job. She actually works for the EPA, which I think is really cool because my mom works for the EPA, so I thought that connection was really fun. But she ends up moving in, and they like really hate each other, but then it slowly turns into something more, and it was good. I think I'm gonna give it 4 stars. Like, I didn't hate it, but like there wasn't anything super special about it, but I did enjoy the kind of thawing of their hate for each other, and how like there were funny moments where they were both like kind of on dates and then like awkwardly around each other because they like wanted each other, but then they're like, oh, are you like having that person stay over? And they like kind of got awkward because their emotions kind of got awkward. So it was cute. I did really enjoy this one. 4 out of 5 stars. Really not much more to say about that. Then I read Ruthless Stranger by Maggie Cole. This one, I think I ended up giving 4.5 stars. It might be like more on the 4-star, but I really did enjoy this because we have an older heroine. She is divorcing her husband after like 20 years, and she is in Vegas, and she decides that she wants a one-night stand. And so her and her friends are talking about it, and our hero overhears. He sees her and he is like, I want this woman. But he is in a dangerous job. He is in the mafia, and he really hasn't had that great of relationships. He has someone at home that won't leave him alone, that he's broken up with again because he doesn't really want to let people close, and the girl he was seeing also was like that, so he felt like there's no pressure in that kind of relationship. But he sees our heroine, is like, she's who I want. He's, I think, in his 40s and our heroine's in her 30s, and so he approaches her friends and says, hey, I'll spend a night with her. If everything's blindfolded, we go our separate ways. So he blindfolds her, and they spend a night together. They actually spend 2 nights together because they're so obsessed with each other. But then they leave. They never exchange contact information. She never even saw him. And I think like a month goes by, and she is going to work, and Who does she hear but him? And she instantly recognizes his voice. They recognize each other and they have not stopped thinking about each other. He is so obsessed with her, and I love an obsessed and infatuated hero, so I really enjoyed that aspect. And they're working on like zoning things. I was a little bit bored by that plot line about like what their job actually was. I was like, I really don't really care. But he's trying to figure stuff out for being part of the mafia, and she kind of gets dragged into it. And so 4.5, I kind of like lost steam a little bit at the end, so that was why it was more like a 4-star. But I'm really excited to read more from Maggie Cole and read more from Mafia Romances, because I love that this had older characters, so can't wait to read more. Then my members chose me for their exclusive reading vlog to read Just a Heartbeat Away by Cara Bastone. This one I was nervous because it looks just like a women's fiction, typical mass market kind of romance, and I'm not really into that, but this one was really cute. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Our hero is a single father. His wife died, and his wife and him had more of like a physical relationship, and she got pregnant, so then they got married, but she passes away and he is like devastated. Our heroine is his son's like preschool teacher, and she has to, I don't know if she actually reports him, but she has to have a meeting with the father because his son is showing signs of neglect, and she's like, you really need to get your stuff together and take care of your son. She says it nicer than that, and so she pretty much coaches him and helps him into getting everything back together and being functional again. And so then we have a few years pass, and she's a counselor now at his school, and so he definitely has his life together. He actually volunteers now at the school for his son. I think his son's in like 3rd grade now or something, and he has his own business, and he really likes her and he wants to ask her out, but she is now dating someone and he's not her type. She's at like 27 and I think he's in his early 40s, and she's like, I'm never attracted to guys like him. I'm attracted to guys like my boyfriend. But then they start hanging out a lot, doing things like with the school a lot, and slowly falling for each other, and it's a very slow burn, and I really enjoyed this one. I do think it kind of went on too long. It was a very long audiobook, so that's why I'm giving it more 4 stars, but I enjoyed the fact that he was a single dad. I liked how entwined she was in their lives. I loved how he was very reserved about the fact that he was older. The scene sticks out to me because they took a picture together and he's like, oh my god, I look so old compared to her, and he really didn't, but in his eyes he was, and he's like, I don't want to hold her back. She's so young. She should be with someone like her boyfriend that she had. There's no cheating in here. But I thought it was just really fun because typically the guy doesn't think he's too old for the girl, and it was just a really cool kind of reality check in that kind of romance, and so I'm glad I picked this up and I'm excited to read more from this author. Then I decided to already do my reread of The Viscount Who Loved Me by Julia Quinn because the show's coming out next month. I have a live show going on with a bunch of friends, and so I wanted to reread it. I think I'm gonna rate it 5 stars now. So I think I just fell in love with Show Anthony so much that I loved his book even more. When I first read this book, I felt like Anthony was pretty annoying because he was just like, I'm gonna die, I can't love anybody, because his father passed away when his father was like in his like late 30s, and so Anthony was 18 when it happened, and he's like, I'm gonna die early, like that's just my fate. And so he's like, I can't love anybody because I'm gonna die soon. And so this picks up when Anthony's like, I need a viscountess and I need someone who just to marry in name. And so he sees Edwina and he's like, she's perfect. She's a diamond of the season. She's gonna be perfect. But then Kate shows up, and Kate detests Anthony. She heard of his reputation before she even meets him. She's like, Edwina, you're not going anywhere near him. He's a rake. He is just the worst of society. No. And so they bicker and banter. There's so many fun scenes in here. I just love their relationship so much, and I'm so excited to see the show, see their hate to love on screen. I'm just so excited. So I just loved rereading this, and every little detail I'm like, well, was this gonna be in the show? Is this gonna be in the show? And I just like, I cannot wait. So I am giving this 5 stars now. It was so good. Like, I don't think it'll be anywhere higher in my favorites of the series, but because I still love like Philip and Eloise and Michael and Francesca, like top tier, but I appreciate this so much more in my reread. So 5 stars. I'm glad I reread it. Then the second book for my member exclusive vlog, I picked up Reaper by A. Zavarelli. Finally, I gave this 4.5 stars. I had so many 4.5 star reads this month, and I am loving that for myself because I had a lot more 2 and 3 stars at the beginning of the month. But this is book 2 in the Boston Underworld series. Crow was one of my favorite books of the year last year. This one was good. Not as good as Crow, but really good. This is Sasha. She's a dancer at the club that heroine from book 1 worked at. I'm blanking on her name. Mac worked there. And so we see Mac and Lachlan a lot in this book, which I love because Lachlan is like the leader of them. But Reaper is someone who is extremely damaged. So he pretty much was born and raised to be a brutal fighter, like literally fight to the death since he was like a child, and he escapes, and that's how we met Lachlan, and so he works for Lachlan now, and he is their killer. So he literally, very beginning of the book, is like, torturing someone, and he will literally destroy anybody who hurts Sasha. He is very intrigued by her. He is obsessed with her, but because of his past and his trauma, he doesn't want to do anything about it. He doesn't know how to be intimate. He doesn't know how to be touched, and so he never makes a move. And so we have these just moments between them though where he does let his guard down, and it's so precious, and I really loved their romance. And lots of danger happens because someone's coming after Reaper because of something he did. I forget what his real name is. Ronan. Someone comes after Ronan. It was just so good. The only reason I'm giving it 4.5 stars though is because she was unnecessarily hard on him, and it made me mad when she got mad at him because he would like really pull away when he felt uncomfortable and like leave her, and she felt very hurt and betrayed by that. But I'm like, do you understand his past? He's just this precious murderer, but he's just precious with this. It made me so sad because he just didn't know how to express emotions and like feel emotions, and she got really frustrated with him, which I guess is realistic, but I was just like, be kind to him, please. So I give it 4.5 stars, but I love these characters so much, and I can't wait to read the second book. Now we're on my road trip to Nashville. So I listened to Highlander Most Wanted on the way to Nashville, and I was so bored. This was not the book to read on a 6-hour car ride. That means I read it all the way through. I'm giving it 3 stars, which I don't think I've given any books in this series 3 stars or any of Maya Banks's Highlander romances. So first book, Never Seduce a Scot, 5-star, blew me away. This one, our hero decides to go and confront this other clan. I don't remember why. I think that the laird of the clan like did something bad to them, so now they're enemies, so he's gonna go confront him, but everyone's like, all the leaders have deserted the clan, and so you just have the clan members left, and our heroine was the mistress of the laird, not by choice. And so a lot of people don't know that though. She like does it for a reason, and so she's a very misunderstood heroine, very hardened, and people hate her. And so our hero decides to help her out. They fall in love, and it was just really boring. Like, I did like the romance and watching them fall for each other, and him taking her back and like figuring out who she is and where she's from, because she's cut off her family. She never went back to them, and why she was with this evil bad guy, but not a lot happened plot wise, so I was really bored. I think I would have liked it better if I didn't listen to it in one sitting, so keep that in mind if you decide to pick this up. But definitely disappointing in the grand scheme of the series, because everything else in this series and the other one that she wrote for the Highlanders is just so good. This one was just disappointing. I decided to pick up The Penalty Box by Odette Stone because McKay from Oh Hey It's McKay had either talked about this book specifically or this series. It is a hockey romance marriage of convenience with a little bit of like mafia vibes going on. So our hero is Russian, and he has friends that are pretty much in the mafia. I don't think they say it's the mafia, but he does. And so in the very beginning, he's like arrested. The police want him to give up information on his friend, and he won't. And so his team is worried about his image. It's like, we won't renew your contract if you keep on doing these things. And so they're like, you need a wife. The heroine works in PR for the hockey team. I'm pretty sure it was for the hockey team. If it's not, she just works in PR in general. So she's interacted with him before. She hates his guts though, but it's kind of like a lusty hate, because she like complains about him all the time because she like kind of likes him. And so he needs a wife, and he's gonna pay her really well. Our heroine needs money because her brother went to jail and left his debt to her, and so she keeps on having to pay these like bad guys money even though she's paid the debt off. And so she's in a bad place, and so they decide that she should be the one to marry him. It's believable. They've worked together before, so there could be like an established relationship there, and she can get the money. So they have a marriage of convenience, and there's a little bit of suspense in here because someone keeps on threatening her, and I love the way that their romance developed. I gave this 4.5 stars. Like, this one, I don't know if it's as quite a 5-star read, but I just love their dynamics together. I loved how much that they fell for each other, even though she wanted to say she hated him. I loved how she went to his hockey games and supported him. I do think that it was annoying though, because she wouldn't tell him some things. Like, something happened at night and she didn't want to bother him while he was away, so she didn't tell him. So like, someone was ringing her doorbell in the middle of the night and leaving. She didn't tell anybody. And I feel like, okay, but like that extends the problem, so get help while you can. So that was a little bit of annoying, but I know it was to like carry the plot along. So I give it 4.5 stars. If you want an arranged marriage, marriage of convenience, Russian hockey player romance, you should read this one. Then I decided to pick up Barbarian's Choice by Ruby Dixon. This is book 12 or 13 in the Ice Planet Barbarian series. I had stopped because I ran out of audiobooks at the library, like they didn't have more, but I got a new card from a new library and they had more, so I decided to read it. And I remember why I stopped as well, because they were were not getting good. This one I gave 3 stars. I was pretty bored by it. Our heroine is one of the aliens on the planet, and she has never mated with someone, and so then she runs across this spaceship with other aliens that look like her, but they don't speak her language, and so he's actually from a different planet. We kind of uncover a little bit more about their race and like why they're there and where they're from and what like time period it is, stuff like that, and he starts falling for her. She immediately resonates with him. If you know, you know, I explained to barbarians, you like have a quee and it resonates when they see your mate. She knows he's her mate, but he doesn't have a quee because he's from a different planet and he doesn't plan on staying there. And it was okay, it was really short. It was a 6-hour audiobook, but I didn't really necessarily feel connected to the characters of the romance. So 3 stars. Like the beginning of the series is just so good, like 4 and 5-star reads. And the last few that I've been reading, and I stopped reading like years ago, but the one before this I gave 2 stars. So I don't know if I want to continue on. Let me know if they get better or if they're still just like meh for the rest of the series. I don't know. Then I technically finished this today on the 1st, but I'm gonna count it because I only had like 10% of the book left, and that is Always Been You by QB Tyler. This one I had an arc of. This one comes out in a few days, so it probably comes out like right before this actually from when I'm posting this, because this is gonna go up Friday. This one's an adoptive sibling romance. She was adopted pretty young and into their family. He is quite older than her, so in the book she's 18 and he's in his 30s, and I'm giving this 4 stars. I kind of wanted a little bit more from the buildup of their relationship, so we have them really jumping into when they're both already like super attracted to each other and can't resist this typical QB fashion. It's very, very steamy. A lot of the plot focuses on the steam. I would have liked a little bit more plot of everything else. Like I feel like I didn't get to know him as much and his background. I also want to see like the development of their romance more instead of them just like jumping into it, because we do get some flashbacks like near the end of the book, and I know that she had this as a novella and then added on to the end, and that's kind of what it felt like, so that's why I can't give it a full 5 stars, because I wanted a little bit more cohesion with everything and more of like a linear instead of like the flashbacks, because I wanted to see him see her in a new light, and really the development of the romance is we really just like jumped in to them really liking each other. But I really liked their dynamics together. It was really fun watching them try to tell everybody that they were together because they grew up as siblings, but she's always been like obsessed with him, like in a romantic way. Like ever since she was little, she's like looks up to him. I don't know how to put it. She's just like not I guess obsessed, but like sees him on another level. She like doodles his name all the time, and the parents knew she had like an obsession with him, and it was just like she was so enamored with him and never really saw him as a brother, which I think makes this more palatable as a adoptive sibling romance. Like as long as they never saw each other as siblings, it's like not really weird. But he never saw her as something more until she was like 17, so I did appreciate that. But I just really like this one. Another very quick and steamy romance that is taboo, what I expect from QB Tyler, so I'm excited for this to come out and for everyone to have the chance to read it. And those are all the books that I read in the second half of February. Let me know what you guys read or what you thought of the books I read. I would love to hear, and that's all I have. As always, thank you so much for watching and have a good day. Bye.